embarked on a solo vacation, driving through a desolate road in the dead of night. Hours had passed since I hit the road, and exhaustion started to consume me. I needed to find a place to rest, but there were no motels in sight. So I made the decision to sleep in my car, pulling over on a secluded forest path by the side of the road. I settled in, cocooned within the safety of my vehicle, hoping for a peaceful slumber. The night was quiet, the darkness enveloping everything around me. It felt unsettling, but I reassured myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks. Sometime in the dead of night, I awoke with a desperate need to relieve myself. Groggy and disoriented, I stumbled out of my car and made my way towards a nearby tree. As I finished my business, a chilling sensation crawled up my spine. I had the unshakable feeling of being watched. My heart pounded in my chest as I turned to face my car. There, sticking out from beneath the windshield wiper, were several Polaroid photographs. My blood ran cold as I picked them up one by one. They were snapshots of me sleeping in the car. Fear gripped me, and I frantically scanned the surrounding darkness, but there was no one in sight. Questions flooded my mind. Who had taken these photos? How had they managed to approach me without me knowing? The forest seemed to close in around me. I fumbled for my car keys, my hands shaking. As I fumbled with the key, a faint rustling sound echoed through the trees. Panic surged within me, urging me to escape the unknown presence that lurked in the shadows. I thrust the key into the ignition, desperately praying for the engine to roar to life. With a gasp of relief, the car purred obediently. My headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the path ahead. The forest seemed to retreat, swallowed by the beam of light. I accelerated, my heart still racing, as I left that creepy spot behind. But the horror of that night remained etched in my memory. The realization that someone had invaded my privacy, watched me while I slept, haunted me like a lingering nightmare. I vowed never to go back there. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but the haunting incident continued to haunt my thoughts. I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched, the paranoia that plagued me whenever I was alone. Sleep eluded me, replaced by restless nights and fearful dreams. Determined to find answers and bring closure to the nightmare that had become my life, I began my own investigation. I scoured through news articles and police reports, searching for any similar incidents. And that's when I stumbled upon a chilling revelation. There had been a series of mysterious disappearances in that very area where I had stopped to sleep. Travelers who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions. The authorities had been baffled, unable to solve the perplexing puzzle of the missing persons. As the pieces of the puzzle slowly fell into place, a horrifying realization dawned on me. The person who had taken those unsettling photos, who had watched me while I slept, was linked to those unsolved disappearances. I had unknowingly escaped a fate worse than my darkest nightmares. The rain poured relentlessly as I navigated the winding road on my way back home from a dinner gathering with friends. The storm had intensified, and my visibility was limited. In the darkness of the night, my phone's GPS directed me onto an unfamiliar route, promising a quicker way home. Despite my initial hesitation, I decided to trust in navigation and follow its instructions. As I drove further along the desolate road, I noticed the fuel gauge on my dashboard blinking. Panic started to creep in as I realized I hadn't passed any gas stations in quite some time. The signal on my phone grew weaker, making it impossible to search for the nearest refueling station. Reluctantly, I continued down the unfamiliar path, hoping for a miracle. Just as despair began to set in, a flicker of hope emerged from the darkness. In the distance, a worn-out sign indicated the presence of a gas station ahead. Relief washed over me as I veered off the main road and onto a narrower path leading to the station. The rain intensified, creating a haunting ambience as I approached the gas station. It appeared abandoned, its pumps covered in rust and graffiti. The flickering fluorescent lights provided a scary glow in the pouring rain. I parked my car by the pump, hoping to refuel and continue home on my journey. However, as I attempted to insert the nozzle into my gas tank, I realized with a sinking feeling that it was malfunctioning. No matter how hard I tried, no fuel came out. Frustration mixed with anxiety as I glanced around, searching for any signs of assistance. That's when I noticed a small house adjacent to the gas station. It looked weathered and forgotten, but it was my last hope. With trepidation, I approached the house, my footsteps echoing in the damp night air. When I looked through a window, I couldn't help but notice peculiar symbols etched onto the walls. They seemed ancient, their meaning lost to time. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, I decided to look through another window. When I looked inward, I saw a small movement out of the corner of my eye. I froze, my heart pounding. I ducked down a bit so I couldn't be seen. Candles flickered, casting long, dancing shadows across the room. In the center, a figure sat on the floor, motionless. My breath caught in my throat as I tried to comprehend what I was witnessing. The person's eyes were closed, their body unmoving. It was a creepy sight, an inexplicable presence in its forgotten place. Curiosity warred with fear inside of me, but I needed to see it better. I pressed my face against the window so I could get a better view, my senses on high alert. Just as I was about to knock on the window, the figure's eyes snapped open. It felt as if their gaze pierced through the darkness, locking onto mine with an intensity that sent chills down my spine. A wave of terror washed over me as I backed away, my mind filled with unanswered questions. What is this place? Who is this person? The unknown consumed me, and I knew I had to leave immediately. I stumbled backward, my heart racing, until I reached the safety of my car. Without wasting a second, I jumped into the driver's seat and fumbled to start the engine. The rain continued to pour, the droplets mimicking the frantic beat of my heart. I peered into the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the figure lurking behind me. With a screech of tires, I peeled out of the gas station, leaving the eerie house and its mysteries behind. As I finally arrived at a well-lit gas station on the main road, relief flooded over me. I filled up my tank, the familiar click of the nozzle bringing a sense of normalcy. However, the encounter with the house and its enigmatic occupant lingered in my mind, haunting me long after I had left the desolate place. To this day, I am haunted by questions that remain unanswered. Who was that person? What were those symbols on the walls? Was it a trick of the mind, or a glimpse into an otherworldly realm? The truth eludes me, forever concealed in the depths of that rainy night. However, whenever I pass by an isolated gas station, I get the creeps. I can't help but wonder about the mysteries hidden within those forgotten places, the secrets waiting to be discovered by unsuspecting travelers. The creepy encounter serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, the unknown can lurk just beyond our reach. I was driving alone on a desolate road, surrounded by darkness and the silence of night. The rain poured relentlessly, obscuring my vision as I strained to make out the path ahead. It was one of those nights when the world seemed to hold its breath, and a sense of foreboding settled over me. As I continued my journey, my hands gripping the steering wheel tightly, I couldn't help but notice the absence of any other vehicles on the road. The relentless downpour and the intermittent flickering of the headlights were the only sources of illumination in the darkness that enveloped the surroundings. Suddenly, a flash of lighting sliced through the night sky, illuminating the road ahead. In that fleeting moment, I caught a glimpse of a figure standing at the edge of the tree line. My heart skipped a beat as I recognized the silhouette of a hitchhiker. Against my better judgment, I decided to stop and offer a helping hand. As I pulled over and rolled down the window, a gust of wind swept through my car, carrying an icy chill. The hitchhiker's features were obscured by the rain-soaked hood, making it difficult to discern their face. "Need a ride?" I asked, my voice barely audible above the sound of the rain. Silence hung in the air for what felt like an eternity. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, the hitchhiker responded, "Anywhere you're heading will do." A mixture of curiosity and unease flooded over me as I unlocked the car doors. The hitchhiker climbed into the back seat, their presence casting a palpable sense of unease. The atmosphere inside the car grew heavy, suffocating, as if an invisible weight pressed down upon us. As we resumed our journey, the silence between us became almost suffocating. The rain continued to pour outside, drumming a hypnotic rhythm on the car roof. It was in those moments of solitude that my imagination began to run wild, conjuring images of all the horror stories I had ever heard. I stole occasional glances at the rearview mirror, catching glimpses of the hitchhiker's reflection. Their eyes held an intensity that sent a chill coursing through my veins. It was as if their gaze penetrated the depths of my soul, searching for something hidden, something forbidden. With each passing mile, the tension in the car grew thicker. Shadows danced at the edges of my peripheral vision, teasing my senses with their elusive moments. An inexplicable fear took hold of me, squeezing my chest like a vice. As we approached a desolate stretch of road, the hitchhiker's demeanor suddenly changed. Their body grew tense, and they leaned forward, peering into the darkness. A hushed whisper escaped their lips, words that I couldn't quite comprehend, but sent a shiver down my spine. "What's wrong?" I asked, my voice trembling with apprehension. Without turning to face me, the hitchhiker muttered, "We're being followed." My heart pounded in my chest as I glanced into the rearview mirror. The rain distorted my view, making it difficult to see anything beyond the cascading water droplets. But a creeping sense of dread settled over me, as if unseen eyes were fixed upon us. I pressed harder on the accelerator, hoping to put distance between us and whatever unseen presence lurked in the darkness. The road seemed to stretch on endlessly, each passing moment dripping with mounting tension. Finally, I caught a glimpse of a pair of headlights in the rearview mirror, closing in on us. Panic surged through my veins as adrenaline flooded my system. Without a second thought, I swerved onto a side road, hoping to lose our pursuer. My heart raced as I navigated the winding path, my mind a whirlwind of fear and uncertainty. The relentless rain continued to hammer against the car, obscuring my vision. It was in that moment of desperation that I noticed a dilapidated building in the distance. An abandoned motel, its windows shattered, its walls marred by time and neglect. With no other options in sight, I veered into the parking lot, my tires skidding on the rain-soaked asphalt. I turned off the engine, the sudden silence echoing in the car. I peered through the windshield, watching as the pursuing vehicle sped past, its taillights disappearing into the night. A mixture of relief and lingering dread washed over me, for I knew we had narrowly escaped a fate far worse than we could ever comprehend. The hitchhiker remained silent, their gaze fixed on the darkened motel. Without a word, they opened the door and stepped out, disappearing into the night. I watched him go, his figure gradually fading into the darkness, leaving me with a sense of unresolved mystery. I took a deep breath, the weight of the night's events settling upon my shoulders. With shaking hands, I restarted the car and continued my journey, grateful for the chance to escape this weird situation. I don't have any knowledge about what happened, and honestly, I have no desire to uncover the truth either.